In today's video, I'm going to try and do some terrain for Star Wars Legion. So, back to the Star Wars universe. Let's go. Welcome back to I'm Bad at Gaming. I'm Ola, and today I'm going to show you how I made these awesome tree trunks for Star Wars Legion. Buddy of mine, Niclas, asked me to do some terrain for Star Wars. So, this is what I made so far. I'll make some more, maybe some desert, maybe some odd-looking planets with different kind of vegetation and terrain. So we start here, and yeah, let's get to it. So I'm gonna start by cutting out a frame in XPS foam. I use a hot wire cutter to shape the inner part, and then I'll use a blade as well to shape it. You can use only a blade if you don't have a hot wire cutter. This tool I use is really versatile because you can change the end from hot wire to this hot tip, so you can make indents and nice texture as well. I'll cut a smaller piece as well to make a branch sticking out from the main log there. This doesn't have to be a perfect fit because you're gonna cover it up with paper later on, and just to make it sit right, you cut out a piece, a rounded piece like that. And then I do the same with the hot tip. Then I'll just fix that in with a small barbecue skewer that I cut into size and PVA glue. So then I'll mix PVA glue and water to a milky consistency, and then I'll just use paper towel and mix that up, and then I'll just put them on the frame. I crinkle it a bit so I get some sort of arc texture. I'll make sure to leave the end pieces free, as you can see there, so you really can see the end pieces there. When that has dried, I'll go on with the second layer. This time I'll make sure that the texture is make extra texture as well, so you get this bark feeling as well. Still make sure that I don't cover up the ends. I'm gonna take a bit of time here to ask you please to subscribe to the channel if you like what I'm doing. It would really help me a lot. So I'll use a blade to cut a piece for the second tree. This will be a leaning log, like a fallen tree. So I'll be cutting the end off in an angle, so you can get this leaning tree trunk as well. And I'll cut a smaller piece for that as well, to have like a branch sticking out on the side as well. And just use a knife to cut that in size, and then cut an angle on it, and make sure that it looks okay. And I cut out the innards a bit so it will fit more snugly to the trunk. And use PVA glue and a barbecue skewer to fix that in place. It doesn't have to be a perfect fit because you're gonna cover it up with paper anyway. And I use the hot tool here as well to make the rings for the tree. This is a really versatile tool as the tips are interchangeable. So, and then I'll cover that up as well with watered down PVA glue soaked tissues. And crinkle it up a bit so I get this wood texture as well. But make sure that I don't cap off the ends. Leave the end free. Important thing on these this first layer is to cover all of the seams as well. When that has dried, I'll mark out a base plate for this and cut it out of plastic. And to make sure that this tree stands up well, I'll just screw in a screw, an ordinary wood screw, to just fix the trunk in place. And then I'll cut out some small pieces for the root system on the tree. These will also help to make the tree sturdier, because I'll cut them into size so they fit snug to the trunk and inside the base. Then I'll just use the watered down PVA and the tissue paper and cover up these pieces and fix them into place as well. As you can see here, this makes the tree sturdier and fixes these in place and get the texture here as well. When all of these are fixed in place, I'll take a dry tissue paper and put on and use a brush and just brush on the watered down PVA and make sure I get a bit texture here as well, so get this bark feeling here as well. This gets glued down to the base as well, so this gets really sturdy. Now for the fallen tree, I'll paint this up first with a dark brown ordinary house paint, and then I'll paint the base as well. And then I do a overbrush on this piece. This way I can easily reach the underside of the tree as well. And then I'll paint in the rings, the really light color. Do the same on both pieces. And then I'll do a couple of overbrushes, lighter and lighter, and then on top of that a dry brush. As you can see, the texture really shows now. Do the same on both pieces as well. This time I don't go really as light on the fallen tree. So I just glue that in with hot glue. Now I can spread PVA glue with the brush on the bases. I start with this one and use some small grit gravel here, and then some larger rocks or small rocks. When I'm satisfied with that, I'll go over the piece with sand. With a brush and brush on the PVA glue, and then put on sand on the side, so if it didn't cover the first time, and if you tap the ends, you don't get this beveled edge, so you get a real smooth transition. And just let that sit, and then when it is dried, I'll mix up the brown paint, base paint, and PVA glue. And then I'll paint the whole base in this brown, covering the rocks as well. And I do that for the both of them. And then I'll go over the whole piece with the black homemade wash. Make sure to get those ends as well. And for the fallen one, I'll spray that down as well, and I'll make it stand on the edge, so the wash goes down in the rings as well there. Then I'll just go over it with the dry brush again. And then I'll do an overbrush on the rings as well there. And I'll do dry brush on the fallen one as well. And I try to avoid the underside. And I'll do the overbrush on the rings as well. Now to the rocks. I'll go over them with a dark gray or black paint. This is really dark gray. I'll make sure I cover all the small rocks with this. Let it dry, and here I just do a quick dry brush over the pieces again. They look a bit shiny here, but they really aren't. It's my lighting. So then I'll go over the rocks with a lighter gray, but just an overbrush so I don't cover them all up And then I'll do a dry brush with a real light gray color. You can use a cream color as well. This is just a dry brush to hit those highs there. I'll have these palm trees that I'm going to use the top as ferns. Onto that later, but I'll go over the rocks with the black homemade wash as well. So here I've clear coated the palm tree tops, and I'm gonna use burnt umber ink and just spray the underside with brown and then come on the top with a green ink instead. I use an airbrush, but you can use a normal brush. You have to just be a bit careful. I think this looks quite nice as ferns. Well, I'll go over the pieces with just PVA glue. And then I use blended turf to cover that up. Pour it all over the piece. And I use a brush to brush on some PVA glue on the tree trunk as well, and spread the flock there as well to get this moss effect. I'll do the same for this erected tree. And I'll go up the trunk as well with the PVA glue, and then I just spread on flock there as well, and the base as well. Make sure I cover the edges. To make vines, I use coconut husk that I separated, painted green with the ordinary green hobby paint, and then I soak them in watered down PVA, and then just wrap them around the trees. Then I spread birch seeds on that, and I got brown, ordinary browns, and then I also got some that are green that I have just sprayed down with green ink in a plastic bag, and I'll spray them with the airbrush. So then I get both green and brown mixed, and I'll just sprinkle that on the tree and the vines there. When that has dried, you can easily trim it down with a scissor. So to fix the ferns, I'll use hot glue and just press them down. And to fill out some, I use clump foliage, just a dab of PVA, and then soak them with watered down PVA. And I'll trim the other one as well, and fix the ferns with hot glue, and then go in with the clump foliage as well. First PVA, press down, and then soak them with watered down PVA. This is 1 part PVA, 4 parts water. Really soak it in there. And then I use burnt umber with the airbrush to make some dark spots in the flock here as well, and then go over the base with watered down PVA in a spray bottle, fix all the small birch seeds and stuff like that. and then I used paper towel to dry off the ferns and to get the watered down PVA from these small parts. I used the airbrush, but just push down on the plunger and don't let any ink out, just the air, so I can blow away the PVA that got stuck there. And yeah, well, this is the finished result. I hope you liked the video. If you do, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I'll hope to see you soon. Bye!